Hey guys, it's Lindsay from one of EKY Homesteaders, and we are doing our last yard tour of the year. I also want to give a little update on our channel. We're going to switch to one video a week throughout the winter just because there's a lot less going on, and we're switching to some indoor projects which cost a lot more money and they take a little bit more time. So that's why we're cutting back on some videos, but we're going to enjoy this last yard tour because a frost is coming within like the next day or two. We've already had one light frost, so I want to show you stuff before the big frost. So here we have our clematis. I did not think it would bloom at all, but it has, and it is still growing. So I'm thinking we might need to get something a little bit taller for it to climb. But I do like this. I think it's pretty. However, it's hard to see when it's overgrown with plant. We have still not dug out the tree. I'm not really sure why it's got soot all over it. So it does look pretty different back here. Here in a few videos, you will see us planting some bulbs, picking up stuff, because we are getting ready for the winter. So some stuff is still growing, looking nice. So for the majority of things are picked up. Here in the next couple days, we'll be pulling up the rest of these pots and putting them into storage for the year. I'm surprised this annual here is held on as long as it has, because this one has now decided it's done for the year. So through here we've planted more bulbs, which they are labeled, but again you'll see that in an upcoming video. So it is almost time. After we get this first hard frost, we'll go through, we'll cut everything down, and we will put some mulch, and hopefully we'll clean the outside of the house too, so it's done for the year. So our pretty aster is done. However, like I said, we like to wait until everything is ready to be cut back just so it's a little bit less work. The mums are still doing really good, and despite, frost coming, we should still have plenty of color for a little bit. But, however, the color is going to come to an end pretty soon. So through here, a few changes. Here in the next couple days, we need to get stuff out of pots and back into the ground. We need to get our plants ready that need to go back inside for the winter. So now essentially it's the mad rush to get ready for the winter. So we have another iris here that has come up. Was not expecting that to bloom this year again in the fall, but I am not mad about it whatsoever. So still have lots of color with our mums. The rose is doing good, and it's actually got a tiny little bloom on it as well. My hope is to make that more tree-like whenever it gets a little bit more growth on it. And some people leave a lot of their plants and they don't cut them back for some winter interest. I'm not entirely sure if I want to do that with a lot of these. Like the echinacea, I know a lot of people leave. However, I do want it to drop seed so it can spread a little bit. So in terms of leaving anything, I think it'll just be the echinacea that I leave, and I will probably cut back most everything else. And as you see here, the crabapple trees are gone. Not sure if we're going to put anything down here. We do have peach trees. If we get apple trees, we definitely want to get something that's going to be beneficial to us. However, it will not go right here. I'll stand back so I'm not in it. I did not think that would have any color to it this year. Very excited that it does. I actually just got one plant and I cut it in half in hopes of it being big enough. Super glad that it's doing well. The other side has not produced any of the little pink fluffies here. However, it still looks good. So through here we have some stuff, and we have our garden cat. So she spends her days pretending to be a plant or part of the car. So our rose is still growing good. However, still don't have rose gloves. You'd think at some point I would have already got that and pulled that out, but sometimes life is busy and you just can't get to everything. So, and some stuff It's kind of poorly labeled, but more bulbs for the spring. But our little arrangement is doing good. Definitely needs a little bit of water, but it is still pretty. I'm not sure how long this plant here is going to hold on throughout the frost. I'm assuming it's a little bit more cold tolerant since a lot of stores were selling them. And these are some plants that are going to go to my mom's house and be overwintered. So here is our strawberry patch. At some point I need to get a little bit of mulch on top of it so everything comes back. It's kind of crazy to think, I think I only had 5 plants to start with and it has filled in a bunch. So very thankful for that, and hopefully it'll keep producing a lot and maybe we can expand it a little bit so we can have some more strawberries. So we have not been tending to the garden like we should have. However, in the next couple days, I need to work really hard and to get all this cleaned up. So all of these green tomatoes, I can pick and pull them inside and they should still ripen. They'll just need a little bit of sunlight. I'm not as worried about pulling out the zinnias and the sunflowers. However, I still want to try to get as much produce out of our garden as we possibly can. And our loofahs, more every day still. It's going strong, hasn't stopped. At some point, we need to start taking them down. So this one is still a little bit squishy, so it's not quite ready yet. Essentially, they'll get really hard on the outside. So this one might actually be rotted, but these are getting pretty hard. They're starting to turn, which means they're getting close. So the other ones we have left on here and they get a super dark brown, and that's how you know they're ready. So anything that's still green, it's definitely got a ways to go. So tomatillos are producing still. I actually found some of these at our local Save-A-Lot, so I did purchase some in hopes of having enough to actually mix kind of together. And same with the peppers as the tomatoes. I need to go through here. I need to pull out every single pepper. At this point, we're just gifting them to people. So, but just so people can enjoy them, I need to go ahead and get these pulled up and all of these harvested. So between the powdery mildew and some of the frost, light frost that we've had, a lot of these are pretty much done for the year. However, you can see lots of seeds. So fingers crossed that all of these little guys will come back next year. So this one's got some pretty good seeds too. This is all seed as well. So hopefully there's no planting over here next year. Everything will just come back and less for me to do. So we finally got a couple of the things that were in pots into the ground. So we've moved our blueberry bushes, our climbing rose, which seems to be pretty happy here because it's already putting on growth. And in an upcoming video, you'll see this. We cut back a lot of this blackberry, but it's not stopping. It's just keeping on. At some point, we need to finish covering this run. So I'm thinking soon I probably need to cut the tops of all these plants off so we actually can cover the run the rest of the way. Kind of piece by piece, it's kind of expensive. So we needed to kind of do it gradually, but we still need to get it done hopefully before the next year. And we moved our raspberries, which I'm kind of surprised they are putting on growth. We're not really crazy about raspberries and they have thorns on them, and I'm just not, I don't really want plants with thorns. Don't really want raspberries, and I definitely don't want any more roses, which they're pretty, but again, thorns, not something I really want to deal with at this point. So blackberries doing good, grapes are doing good, and we planted our other grape. So it probably really isn't going to do a whole lot until next year, which is totally fine. These canes are starting to get darker, which hopefully the next year these will branch out even more. So, and I never know if I'm supposed to cut back these hydrangeas, if I'm supposed to leave them. And years prior, I've cut them back, so I think I'm going to leave them this year and see, despite, you know, it probably will be kind of ugly, but I'm going to leave them and see if that helps them become bigger the next year. Fingers crossed. It does have a little bit of powdery mildew on it, but it looks like there's a small bud. So we definitely need to get some mulch down. My favorite arrangement is slowly kind of dying off here. This has probably been my favorite this year out of everything. So I'm going to be very sad here in a couple days when this is gone. So we have a couple of dahlias left. However, again, after the frost, these will be done as well. I am planning on saving all of these tubers because I want them next year. And hopefully with us putting them in a different spot, they'll do a little bit better because they'll have more sun. So I think this one's pretty too. So this is the first time we've gotten to see this one bloom. And there was one more down here, which I think we have had one like this in the past, but it's still pretty. So, but I am going to go ahead and end the video here. Thank you for seeing all of our yard tours this year. And we are very excited for spring. We have a lot of fun stuff planned. Definitely have a lot of fun stuff planned throughout the winter. So we will catch you guys on the next one.